Here's the next chapter. I never wanted to hurt you. Arav ripped softly, his voice full of regret. I just didn't know how to tell you this before. It's not like I was hiding it from you on purpose. Karen stood up abruptly, unable to sit still any longer. His eyes flickered between Arav and the ground, trying to steady his breath. Then why didn't you tell me sooner, Arav? Why wait until now? Arav stood up too, moving closer to Karen, his hands reaching out, though Karen instinctively took a step back. I didn't know what it would mean. I didn't want to bring up someone from my past if it wasn't necessary. I never thought they would show up again. Karen's heart hammered against his chest. And now they have, and you're telling me this like it's no big deal? Do you even understand how this makes me feel? Arav winced at the sharpness in Karen's voice, but didn't move. He could feel the wall Karen was putting up between them, and it stung more than he had expected. I know this isn't easy. I'm sorry, Karen. I don't want you to think that I've been keeping things from you, but I needed you to understand that this doesn't change how I feel about you. Karen's fists clenched at his sides. He wanted to believe him. He wanted to trust Arav, but the doubt in his mind, the uncertainty about the person from Arav's past, gnawed at him. What does it change then? Karen asked, his voice quieter but still filled with raw emotion. How can I just ignore the fact that someone from your past has come back? Does this mean something to you? Arav stepped closer again, this time not hesitating to close the gap. He reached out, carefully lifting Karen's chin to meet his eyes. No, it doesn't mean anything, but I need to figure out what they want. I need to make sure that my past stays in the past and that it doesn't affect what we have. Karen's breath hitched at the sincerity in Arav's eyes, but his own feelings of betrayal and confusion didn't dissipate. It was hard to shake the feeling that there was something Arav wasn't telling him. What do they want, Arav? Karen asked, his voice cracking slightly. Why are they back in your life? Arav paused, his expression becoming distant. They said they needed closure, but I think there's more to it. I don't know if they want to rekindle something or if they just want to mess with my head. I'm not sure. Karen swallowed hard, trying to keep his emotions in check. And what if they do want something more, Arav? What if they want you back? Arav's eyes darkened, his jaw tightening. I won't let them. I'm not interested in them anymore. Not after everything we've been through. Not after everything we've built. Karen bit his lip, trying to process the conflicting emotions that were surging through him. He wanted to trust Arav, but the uncertainty and fear were overwhelming. The bond they shared felt fragile, like it could be broken at any moment. Then why did you tell me this now? Karen asked, his voice shaky. Why not just let it go? Why bring it up if it's nothing? Arav's gaze softened, and he placed a hand on Karan's shoulder, his touch gentle yet firm. Because I want to be honest with you. I don't want to keep any more secrets. I need you to know what's going on so we can face this together. If you can't trust me, then I don't know where we stand. Karen felt a lump form in his throat. He wanted to trust Arav more than anything. He wanted to believe that they could face everything together, but the doubt in his mind made it hard. I don't know if I can, Arav, Karen whispered, his voice barely audible. I don't know if I can just forget about them, or the fact that they were a part of your life before. It feels like it's always going to be there, standing between us. Arav's eyes softened, his hand moving to Karen's cheek, his thumb brushing away the tear that had escaped his eye. I won't let it come between us, Karen, I promise. But I need you to trust me, even if it's hard. We've both been through so much. Don't let one person from my past tear us apart. Karen closed his eyes, taking in a shaky breath. He didn't want to walk away from this. He didn't want to lose Arav, not when they had just started to build something real. But the fear that lingered in his heart, the nagging feeling that something was still being hidden, made him hesitate. I want to trust you, Karen said quietly, his voice filled with emotion. I really do, but I don't know if I can just ignore everything that's going on. I don't know how to make this work. Arav pulled Karen into his arms, holding him tightly. We'll figure it out, I swear. We'll work through it. But I need you to believe in us, Karen. Please. Karen leaned into Arav's embrace, letting the warmth of his touch wash over him. He didn't have all the answers. He didn't know where this relationship was headed. But in that moment, he knew that he didn't want to let go of what they had. Not yet. I'm scared, Arav. Karan admitted quietly, his voice muffled against Arav's chest. Scared of losing you. Scared of not knowing what comes next. I'm scared too, Arav whispered back, his lips brushing against Karan's hair. But I'm not going anywhere. I'll always be here for you. And for the first time in a long time, Karan allowed himself to believe it. Maybe this wasn't going to be easy. Maybe they would face more obstacles, more heartache. But for now, he could hold on to the truth that Arav was right there, holding him, and that was enough. The days that followed were heavy with silence. Arav tried to reassure Karan every chance he got, but something in the air had shifted between them. The comfortable familiarity they had once shared was now tainted by uncertainty. Karan had been distant, his heart divided between his love for Arav and the shadows that had appeared in their relationship. And then, one night, things took an unexpected turn. Karan had gone out to clear his mind, walking the quiet streets of the city, trying to escape the swirling storm inside him. As he rounded the corner near a small cafe they used to visit together, he noticed a familiar figure standing in the shadows, a figure that made his blood run cold. It was Raghav. Karan froze in his tracks, his pulse quickening. He hadn't expected to see Raghav tonight. His presence alone felt like a challenge, an unspoken threat hanging in the air. Raghav stepped out of the shadows, his eyes dark with a dangerous glint. "Did you think I wouldn't come looking for you?" he asked, his voice low and steady, like a threat he didn't need to speak out loud. Karan's heart raced, but he stood his ground. "What do you want, Raghav?" he demanded, his voice trembling only slightly. Raghav smirked, stepping closer until the space between them was almost non-existent. "I'm not the one who's been keeping secrets, am I?" He said the words slowly, deliberately, letting them sink into Karan's skin. "But I'm here now, to remind you who you're really dealing with." Karan's hands balled into fists. "I don't know what you think you know, but I'm not scared of you," he said, his voice firm, though his insides were churning with fear and confusion. Raghav's smirk deepened, and he took a step forward, his presence so overpowering that Karan had to fight the urge to back away. "Oh, but you should be. Because the truth is, Karan, this game is just beginning, and you've just signed up for it." Before Karan could react, Raghav's eyes flickered to the side. Karan followed his gaze, his heart stopping in his chest when he saw Arav standing a few feet away, his expression unreadable. Arav's jaw was clenched, his hands hanging at his sides as he took in the scene. The air was thick with tension, and Karan could feel the weight of his gaze. Raghav chuckled darkly. "I'm sure you have a lot of questions for him, don't you?" he said, his voice laced with mockery. "Too bad he hasn't been completely honest with you, Karan." Karan's mind raced, confusion and anger mixing in a swirling storm. "What the hell is going on, Arav?" he demanded, turning toward him. Arav didn't answer right away. He stepped forward, his gaze not leaving Raghav's for a moment. "Karan," he finally said, his voice soft but firm, "you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't understand the kind of people we're involved with." Karan's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean? What kind of people?" His voice was filled with frustration, the fear in his chest intensifying. But before Arav could answer, Raghav interrupted, his tone laced with amusement. "Oh, you still don't know, do you? How cute. How naive." Karan's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" he demanded. Raghav's smirk deepened. "Arav's past, it's not as simple as he's made it out to be. He's not just some guy from the city, Karan. He's part of something much darker, something you'll never fully understand. And you," he said, pointing a finger at Karan, "you're just a pawn in his game." Arav's expression hardened, but Karan didn't know whether to trust him anymore. The revelation about Arav's past seemed to have cracked open a door that he wasn't ready to face. A door filled with darkness. "Raghav, stop it," Arav said, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. "This isn't your fight." But Raghav only chuckled. "Isn't it? You can try to protect him, Arav, but you can't protect him from the truth. Not anymore." The tension in the air was suffocating, the weight of Raghav's words sinking into Karan's chest. He wanted to trust Arav. He wanted to believe that nothing from his past would come between them. But the truth was, he didn't know what to believe anymore. Raghav gave Karan one last, lingering look. "Enjoy your little romance, Karan, but remember, there's always more than meets the eye." With that, he turned and disappeared into the night, leaving Karan standing there, shaken and uncertain. The only sound was the rush of blood in his ears as his mind struggled to catch up with the whirlwind of emotions and revelations. Arav took a step forward, but Karan held up his hand. I need answers, he said, his voice tight with barely contained anger. Now. Arav's expression softened, but the fear in Karan's eyes didn't go unnoticed. Karan, I swear, I never wanted any of this. I didn't want to pull you into my past, but now you're here, and I have to protect you. Raghav, he's dangerous, but I won't let him hurt you. Not now. Not ever. Karan's fists clenched, his heart torn between trust and doubt. You have to tell me everything, Arav, and you can't hide behind lies anymore. Not when this, he gestured toward where Raghav had just stood, is happening. Arav nodded slowly, his gaze unwavering. I'll tell you everything, Karan, I promise, but we need to leave. It's not safe here. Karan hesitated, but then nodded. They both turned and left, the heavy weight of uncertainty still hanging between them, as the shadows of the night seemed to grow darker. The days following that night were nothing short of a storm. Karan's mind churned with questions, but every time he looked at Arav, his heart pulled him in two directions, love and doubt. How could someone so close to him, someone he trusted with his entire being, have a past so dark, so dangerous? And how could Arav keep him in the dark for so long? Karan wasn't sure what hurt more, the lies or the truth that felt like it was slipping through his fingers, just out of reach. They sat together in a quiet, dimly lit room, the soft hum of the city outside blending into the background. Karan couldn't meet Arav's eyes. The silence between them was suffocating, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. Arav finally broke the silence, his voice low and hesitant. Karan, I never meant for any of this to happen. I never wanted you to get involved. Karan's jaw clenched, his anger bubbling up. Then why didn't you tell me the truth? Why didn't you trust me enough to be honest? Arav ran a hand through his hair, frustration lining his features. Because I was protecting you. I thought if I kept you away from my world, away from my past, you'd be safe. Karan's eyes flashed with hurt. Safe? From what, Arav? What is it that you're hiding from me? Why did Raghav call you part of something dangerous? Arav's gaze faltered and he hesitated. For a moment, Karan thought he might not answer. But then Arav took a deep breath, his eyes meeting Karan's with a vulnerability Karan had never seen before. I'm not just some ordinary guy, Karan. I was born into a world I didn't choose. My family, we're connected to things. Dangerous things. Things I've been trying to escape for years. Raghav is part of it. He's one of the people from that world, and I'm tied to him in ways you don't understand. Karan's heart pounded as he processed the words. So you're saying you're involved with criminals? Arav's face twisted in pain. No, Karan, not anymore. I left that life behind. But people like Raghav, they don't let go. He's trying to pull me back into it, into a world I left behind. And now, because of me, you're in danger too. Karan felt a surge of anger mixed with fear. I don't care about your past, Arav. I care about you, but I won't stand by and let you lie to me. You promised me you wouldn't keep secrets. Arav reached for his hand, his grip tight, as if trying to hold on to something that was slipping away. I'm sorry, Karan. I swear I never wanted to put you in harm's way, but I need you to trust me. We have to leave, Karan. We have to get away from here before it's too late. Karan's mind raced. He wanted to trust Arav. He wanted to believe that everything would be okay, that their love could overcome this darkness. But the fear in Arav's eyes, an emotion Karan had never seen before, told him that this wasn't something that could be brushed aside. What do you mean, leave? Karan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Arav stood up abruptly, pacing the room as if the walls were closing in on him. Raghav is dangerous, Karan, and he's not going to stop until he gets what he wants. I can't protect you here. The only way to keep you safe is to disappear, to leave everything behind. Karan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Leave everything? Leave our life here? Our friends? Our families? Arav stopped pacing, his face drawn with pain. I'm not asking you to leave it all behind, Karan. I'm asking you to trust me. I need you to trust me more than anything. If we stay here, we'll both be in danger. Raghav will stop at nothing to destroy everything we've built. Just Karan's heart hammered in his chest. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can leave everything behind. Arav's eyes softened and he stepped toward Karan, his expression filled with pleading. I know this is hard, Karan, but we don't have a choice. If we stay, we'll lose everything. If we run, we have a chance to build something real. together. Karen's mind whirled. He thought of everything they had, their late-night talks, the stolen kisses, the way Arav had held him close in moments of vulnerability. He thought of their dreams, their plans, everything that had seemed so perfect just days ago. But now all of that felt like it was slipping through his fingers. The world they had built together was being torn apart by shadows Karan couldn't even see. He looked at Arav, his heart torn. I don't want to lose you, but I don't know if I can leave my life behind either. Arav's expression was filled with regret, but he didn't back down. I'll never ask you to do anything that isn't for your safety, Karen, but we have to move now. Karen felt his chest tighten. He wanted to say yes. He wanted to run away with Arav to escape the chaos that surrounded them. But something deep inside him, a voice that he couldn't ignore, told him that leaving now might not solve anything. We don't have to decide everything tonight, Karen said finally, his voice barely audible. But I need time, Arav. Time to think about this, to understand what's happening and what we're really up against. Arav nodded slowly, his face filled with a mixture of relief and sorrow. I'll give you all the time you need, Karan, but just know I'll never let anything happen to you. Karan couldn't sleep. The weight of Arav's words echoed in his mind like a haunting refrain. Someone was after them. Someone who wouldn't stop until they were torn apart. But who? The uncertainty gnawed at him. The old bridge where they had shared countless memories had now become a symbol of impending danger. As the night crept on, Karan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Arav had left him with a promise. We'll fight this together. But that only made the uncertainty grow. He needed to know more. Karan's phone buzzed, startling him from his thoughts. The message from Arav was simple but urgent. Meet me at the bridge. It's time. With a deep breath, Karan grabbed his jacket and rushed out the door. The air was thick with tension as Karan approached the bridge. The night had settled in, casting shadows that seemed to dance around him. The sound of rushing water beneath the bridge felt strangely calming, but Karan's heart was anything but calm. When he reached the bridge, he didn't find Arav waiting for him. Instead, a sleek black car sat parked in the distance, its headlights glaring into the darkness. Karan hesitated. Something didn't feel right. He walked closer and suddenly a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was Arav. But he wasn't alone. Behind him stood another man, a tall figure in a black suit with a cold, calculating expression. Karan's stomach dropped. Arav? Karan called out, his voice tinged with concern. Arav's eyes flicked over to him, but there was something different in his gaze. It wasn't the warm, reassuring look Karan was used to. It was guarded, almost distant. You shouldn't have come, Arav said, his voice low and tense. Karan took a step forward. What's going on? Who is this? He glanced at the stranger, who only smirked in response. The man in the suit spoke, his voice smooth but menacing. You're the one who's been getting in Raghav's way, aren't you? Karan Singhania? Karan froze. The name sent a chill down his spine. Raghav, the mafia kingpin, the one who had been after Arav for months, the one who had ruined Arav's life. Arav looked over his shoulder at the man, then back at Karan. I never wanted you to get involved in this, he said, his voice breaking. But you have to understand, Raghav isn't just some gangster. He's a force, Karan, and he won't stop until he gets what he wants. Karan's pulse quickened. What does he want from you? The man in the suit smirked. Raghav wants to control Arav, and you're standing in the way of that. He doesn't take kindly to people like you. Karan's mind raced. But why is he coming after me? I'm not involved in this. Arav's gaze was full of guilt. It's because of me. Raghav, he thinks you're a threat. You're close to me, Karan, and anyone close to me is a target. The stranger stepped forward, his hand slipping into his jacket. Karan instinctively tensed. It's not just Arav you should be worried about, the man said. Raghav wants to control everything. He's ruthless, and if he finds you trying to protect Arav, it won't end well for you. Karan's thoughts swirled as the gravity of the situation sank in. He'd thought he was just getting caught up in something beyond his control, but now it was clear. This wasn't just about protecting Arav. This was about surviving Raghav's wrath. Karan turned to Arav. What do we do now? Arav's eyes were filled with desperation. We have to run, Karan. We have to leave before Raghav finds us. He won't stop until he's destroyed everything. But the man in the suit chuckled darkly, a sound that sent chills down Karan's spine. Running isn't an option anymore. Raghav has eyes everywhere. You can try to escape, but it'll only make things worse. Karen glanced at Arav, who was visibly shaken, but there was something in his eyes, something Karen hadn't seen before. A fierce resolve. We're not running, Arav said, his voice steady now, a hint of anger creeping in. We'll face Raghav. Together. Karen took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. This wasn't the life he'd signed up for, but he couldn't back down now, not with Arav by his side. The man in the suit raised an eyebrow. You think you can stop Raghav? You're nothing but pawns in a game you'll never win. Arav met his gaze head on. We'll see about that. The night had turned colder, and the silence between the three of them was deafening. Karen felt the weight of the situation press down on him. They weren't just dealing with a mafia kingpin. They were up against a man who had the power to destroy their lives. But Karen wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Let's do this, he said, determination in his voice. The cold wind brushed against Karen's face as the reality of the situation settled in. It was no longer just a warning. It was a war. Arav had been right all along. Raghav wasn't just after him. He was after everything connected to him. Everything that mattered. And now Karen had been dragged into this dangerous game, a game where the stakes were life and death. As the black-suited man turned and began to walk away, Karen felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Where are you going? Karen called out, his voice sharp. The man didn't answer at first. He simply walked a few steps ahead before halting and slowly turning around. His smile was cold, calculating, and more terrifying than Karen had ever seen. How did you like this part of the story? Do let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and support so that you can enjoy more interesting stories like this. See you in the next part. Until then, take care.